Hello, I'm Henry Riley, and for this interview, I interviewed one of my best friends, and her name is Leah. I chose to interview Leah because I am a heterosexual male, and she is a pansexual woman. I've known Leah for probably 2 years now. I actually met her in one of my English classes here at Minnesota State University Mankato, and right off the bat, we just hit it off and became really good friends. And then eventually, when I switched to my communication major, she had communication as a minor. So we continued taking classes together when we could. And then we just became really good friends. So, jumping right into it, describing our cultural differences. First of all, this is an intercultural relationship because of sexuality. Uh, Leah belongs to the pansexual culture, the LGBTQ community, and I belong to a heterosexual culture. And when we discussed this, talking about this, we talked about our relationship prior to this interview, and we both agreed that this really hasn't affected our relationship prior to the interview. So, jumping right into the interview experience, first of all, when we were talking about culture, Leah said that she relates heavily with the LGBTQ community. And one thing that she has been to that she just raved about was the Pride event in Minneapolis. And she's also been to one in New York City. She said that it was one of the most powerful things she has ever been a part of because of the welcoming, loving environment. And this is something that she said was really powerful for her because it was able for her to celebrate everyone else that was there, but it was also a place where she could celebrate herself. And she said it was just an incredible experience. Now, relating to chapter 5, these are two things that Leah has faced throughout her life, and this is another cultural difference. This is something that I haven't had to face, and unfortunately, it's disheartening that it's still a thing, especially with everything. Thinking of how progressive our state or our country is, and it's unfortunate. And getting right into it, the two definitions that I want to talk about today is heterosexism and heteronormativity, based off of chapter 5. So, firstly, with heterosexism, according to the book, heterosexism is an ideological system that denies and denigrates any non heterosexuality, behavior, identity, or community. And heteronormativity refers to the institutionalization of heterosexuality in society and the assumption that heterosexuality is the only normal, natural, and universal form of sexuality. Now, with Leah identifying as pansexual, she stated that she has had to go through this throughout her life. Not only that, but some other hardships as well. That when you hear anyone talk about it, it's really sad. Um, but although with all these hardships, she says that she can find comfort in her mother. And one thing that she specifically referenced was that her mother has been her biggest supporter throughout her life. She referenced how growing up, her mother taught her and her siblings to do and love what makes them happy. And this is something that's really important to Leah because it's a comforting and it's a supportive mother who loves her for who she is. And it's really powerful to hear that because I could only imagine as going through um, being pansexual and being attracted to who you're attracted to, it can be difficult. And having that comfort and that stability of someone who's always supporting you for who you are is really, really incredible. And so, assessing our relationship. So, not only did I learn about Leah's hardships, which I've known she has gone through before this interview, but really diving into it and understanding more about how that's affected her as a person and how that has made her grow and has been something that's really inspiring, honestly. And like I mentioned earlier, the cultural differences that we have regarding our sexuality, these are things that as a heterosexual male, um, I haven't had to experience throughout my life. And it's something that I've had the privilege, and I know that I was privileged before this interview, but even hearing it now, it really makes me understand even more about privilege and how I take things for granted that other people don't. And that's another thing that I learned about myself was understanding my privilege and understanding that everything is set up for me and that's not how it is for everyone else. So knowing more about Leah's sexuality has really opened my eyes to how like what these hardships are that they have to go through and how like systematically and institutionalized um, these can be ingrained with who you love. And that is something that has just really opened my eyes. And yeah. So lastly, this interview has also taught me a lot about intercultural communication. So a lot of this intercultural communication is based on dialogue, understanding perspectives, knowing that every person goes through something else. They go through different experiences, they have different perspectives. We're not, everyone doesn't have the same journey. So with knowing that and relating that to my own life is something that's really important. And I think that like culturally and interculturally, we can only learn more if we talk about it more and understand each other. And being open and having dialogue is something that's really important with intercultural communication. Thank you.